Welcome back to my channel. Today we explore the value of specific coins, the most valuable Lincoln Old Wheat Penny coins value in market in dollar. So let's get started.
First up today, we are talking about one of the most interesting coins in American history, the 1943 Abraham Lincoln steel penny with the S mint mark. At first glance, this coin may look ordinary, but it carries a powerful story from World War II and holds a real value for collectors in today's market. Many people still find these coins in old collections, drawers, or inherited jars of change, and they often wonder if they are worth anything. Let's explore what makes the 1943 S steel penny special and how much it is worth today in US dollars. During World War II, the United States needed large amounts of copper for military equipment, ammunition, and communication wires. Because of this shortage, the U.S. Mint made a rare decision in 1943 to stop using copper for pennies. Instead, they produced pennies using steel coated with zinc. This made the 1943 penny the only regular U.S. coin made from steel. These coins were produced at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins made in San Francisco carry a small S mint mark below the date, and these are known as the 1943 S Lincoln steel pennies. The design remained the same as earlier wheat pennies. On the front, it shows Abraham Lincoln's portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the back, it features 2 wheat stalks with the words 1 cent and United States of America. What makes this coin stand out is its silver-gray color, which is very different from the usual brown or red color of copper pennies. Because it is made of steel, the coin is also magnetic, which is one of the easiest ways to identify a genuine 1943 steel penny. Now let's talk about value. The value of a 1943 S steel penny depends heavily on its condition. Most of these coins were widely circulated, and many suffered from scratches, wear, rust, or loss of zinc coating over time. In circulated condition, a 1943 S steel penny is usually worth between $1 and $5. Coins with heavy wear, corrosion, or damage may be worth less, sometimes only a few cents more than face value. In good condition, meaning the coin still shows clear details, readable date, visible mint mark, and minimal damage, the value increases. A 1943 S steel penny in good to very fine condition can sell for around $5 to $10 in today's market. These coins are popular with beginner collectors because they are affordable and historically significant. Uncirculated examples are where the value becomes more interesting. If the coin has never been used in circulation and still shows original shine with no major scratches, it can be worth much more. Uncirculated 1943 S steel pennies often sell for $20 to $40, depending on eye appeal and preservation. Coins graded by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC tend to sell for higher prices because their authenticity and condition are officially verified. The highest values are seen in top-grade mint state coins. A 1943 S steel penny graded MS65 or higher can sell for over $100. Extremely rare high-grade examples, such as MS67 or MS68, have sold at auctions for several $1,000s. These coins are very difficult to find because steel pennies were easily damaged and very few survived in perfect condition. It is important to be careful because not all shiny 1943 pennies are valuable. Some coins have been cleaned, polished, or replated, which actually lowers their value. Collectors prefer original surfaces, even if they show slight aging. Also, some fake coins exist, including copper-plated steel pennies meant to imitate the extremely rare 1943 bronze era pennies. A real steel penny should stick to a magnet and weigh about 2.7 grams.
Next up, the 1939 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with D mint mark is a U.S. coin struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d below the date on the obverse. It is part of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse. Coins from the late 1930s are interesting to collectors because they represent the period just before World War II. a time when the United States was recovering from the Great Depression and preparing for major global changes. The 1939 Lincoln cent was minted in the standard bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin in zinc. When originally issued, the coin had a bright red copper color, which is naturally toned to red-brown or brown over decades of circulation. The Denver Mint produced approximately 15 million Lincoln cents in 1939, which is a relatively low mintage compared to many Philadelphia issues of the same year. This lower mintage makes the 1939 D wheat penny more desirable to collectors, especially in higher grades. Your coin is described as being in damaged condition with some scratches, indicating heavy wear, surface marks, or possible dents from long-term circulation or improper handling. In damaged condition, Lincoln's facial features are heavily flattened and the finer details of the hair and coat are mostly worn away. The wheat stalks on the reverse are visible but smooth in many areas. Scratches and damage significantly reduce the coin's eye appeal and market value, even though the date and mint mark are more desirable than average. In today's market, a 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a D mint mark in damaged condition with some scratches has a current market value of approximately 20 to 40 cents, most likely around 20 to 30 cents. While it is not highly valuable due to its condition, it remains a desirable collectible date and a meaningful piece of American coinage history from the late 1930s. To preserve the coin, cleaning or polishing is not recommended, as this can further damage the surface and reduce collector value. The coin should be stored in a protective holder or coin flip in a dry environment to prevent additional wear or corrosion. Proper storage helps maintain what remains of its detail and historical character. In summary, your 1939 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with a D mint mark in damaged condition with some scratches has a current market value of approximately 20 to 40 cents, most likely around 20 to 30 cents. While it is not highly valuable due to its condition, it remains a desirable collectible date and a meaningful piece of American coinage history from the late 1930s.
Now let's look at another classic wartime coin, the 1943 Abraham Lincoln steel penny without a mint mark. This coin was produced during World War II, a time when the United States needed copper for military equipment and ammunition. Because of this shortage, the U.S. Mint decided to make pennies from steel coated with zinc for 1 year only. This decision created one of the most recognizable and unique coins in American history. The 1943 steel penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Coins made there traditionally do not carry a mint mark, which is why this penny shows only the date with no letter below it. The design is the same as earlier Lincoln Wheat Pennies, with Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 wheat ears on the back. What makes it different is its silver-gray color and its magnetic nature, both caused by the steel core. In fine condition, the coin shows clear signs of circulation. Lincoln's portrait is visible, but the finer details such as hairlines and coat edges are worn. On the reverse, the wheat stalks are still readable, but they lack sharp detail. Some scratches, small marks, and light wear are common for a coin that has been in circulation for many years. These scratches lower the value slightly, but they are normal for a coin of this age. The value of a 1943 steel penny without a mint mark in fine condition depends mainly on condition. In fine condition with some scratches, this coin is considered a common example. In today's market, most of these coins sell for around 50 cents to $2. If the coin has heavier scratches, corrosion, rust spots, or damage to the zinc coating, the value may be closer to face value or slightly above it. Collectors prefer steel pennies that still have most of their original zinc coating and show minimal rust. Steel is prone to corrosion, so many 1943 pennies developed dark spots or pitting over time. Coins that avoided this damage are more desirable. However, once scratches and surface marks are present, especially if the coin was cleaned or polished, the value usually stays on the lower end of the price range. It is also important to identify a genuine 1943 steel penny. A real one will stick to a magnet and weigh about 2.7 grams. Some steel pennies were plated with copper by individuals trying to make them look like the rare 1943 bronze pennies. These altered coins are not rare and usually have very little collector value. A copper-colored coin that sticks to a magnet is not a valuable error. Even though the 1943 steel penny without a mint mark in fine condition is not worth a large amount of money today, it still is popular with collectors. Many people enjoy owning one because it represents an important moment in American history when everyday items were changed to support the war effort. These coins are often included in beginner collections and educational sets. If you have one of these pennies, it is best to store it in a dry place to prevent rust. Avoid cleaning it because cleaning can damage the surface and reduce value. While this coin may only be worth a small amount today, its historical significance makes it a meaningful and interesting piece to own.
Next up, the 1952 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without mint mark is a U.S. coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the absence of a mint mark below the date. It is part of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse. By 1952, the wheat penny was nearing the end of its long production run, making coins from this period interesting to collectors as representatives of the final years of the classic wheat design. The 1952 Lincoln cent was produced in the standard bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. When freshly minted, these coins displayed a bright red copper color. Over time, circulation and exposure to air usually cause the color to fade to red-brown or brown. Your coin is described as having a red color shade, but being in dirty condition with some scratches. This suggests that traces of original red color are still visible, which is a positive factor, but surface dirt, grime, and scratches reduce the overall eye appeal and collector value. In dirty condition, Lincoln's portrait is worn, with flattened areas on the cheek, jaw, and hair. The date and lettering remain readable, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are visible but show clear wear. Dirt and scratches may obscure finer details and give the coin a dull or uneven appearance. While red color is usually desirable, the dirty surface and scratches prevent the coin from being classified as a true red or high-grade example in the eyes of collectors. In today's market, the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in dirty condition with some red color remaining generally has a value of approximately 10 to 25 cents USD. Cleaner coins, in fine or very fine condition, are often worth 25 to 75 cents, while uncirculated red examples can be worth several dollars. Because your coin shows dirt and surface scratches, its realistic market value would likely be closer to the lower end of the range, around 10 to 20 cents, even with some red color visible. Although its monetary value is modest, the 1952 wheat penny still holds historical value. It circulated during the early 1950s, a period of post-World War II growth and change in the United States. Pennies from this era were widely used in everyday transactions, and each coin carries evidence of the time it spent in circulation. Even worn examples help tell the story of America's economic and social history during the mid-20th century. To protect the coin, cleaning or polishing is not recommended, as cleaning can damage the surface and remove remaining original color, which would further reduce its value. The best approach is to store the coin in a protective holder or coin flip in a dry environment to prevent additional wear or corrosion. Proper storage helps preserve whatever original color and detail remain. Now let's move on to the 1936 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with the D mint mark. This coin comes from the pre-World War II era and is part of the long-running Lincoln Wheat Penny series that began in 1909. The 1936 penny was produced during the Great Depression recovery years, and millions of Americans use these coins in daily life. Today, they remain popular among collectors because of their classic design and historical background. The 1936 wheat penny with the D mint mark was struck at the Denver Mint.
You can identify it by the small letter D located just below the date on the front of the coin. Like other wheat pennies, the front shows a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse features two wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum at the top. In very fine condition, the coin shows moderate circulation wear but still has strong detail. Lincoln's portrait is clear, with visible facial features, and parts of the hair and coat lines are still noticeable. On the reverse, the wheat stalks are well defined, though some of the finer lines may be worn smooth. Some scratches and small marks are normal for a coin that is circulated, and these marks slightly reduce the overall value, but do not make the coin undesirable. Condition plays a major role in determining value. A 1936 D wheat penny in very fine condition with some scratches is considered a common collector coin. In today's market, these coins usually sell for around 10 to 30 cents. If the scratches are light and the coin has an attractive natural color, it may sell closer to the higher end of that range. Heavier scratches, dark stains, or signs of cleaning will push the value toward the lower end. Because the 1936 D wheat penny had a relatively high mintage, it is not considered rare. However, collectors still seek them to fill date and mint mark slots in wheat penny albums. Coins with original surfaces and even wear are preferred over those that have been cleaned or polished. Cleaning removes the natural patina and can significantly reduce collector interest. There are also rare varieties and errors for some wheat pennies, but most 1936 D pennies found today are standard issues. Unless the coin shows unusual doubling, off-center strikes, or other clear mint errors, its value remains based mainly on condition. If you own a 1936 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with a D mint mark, it is best to store it properly in a coin holder or envelope to protect it from further scratches. Avoid cleaning the coin, as this can lower its value. While it may not be worth a large amount of money, it is still a classic and collectible piece of American history that many collectors enjoy owning. The 1936 D wheat penny represents a time when simple copper coins were a daily part of life in the United States. Even with some scratches, a very fine example remains a nice addition to any wheat penny collection and a reminder of America's past.
Next up, the 1942 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without mint mark is a classic U.S. coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is identified by the absence of mint mark below the date. It is part of the well-known Lincoln Wheat Penny series designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and two wheat stalks on the reverse. The year 1942 is historically important because it falls during World War II, when the United States was deeply involved in the war effort and everyday coinage was used heavily in daily commerce. The 1942 Lincoln cent was minted in the traditional bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. At that time, copper was still available for cent production, and the change to steel would not occur until 1943. When newly struck, these coins had a bright red appearance, but most surviving examples today have toned to red-brown or brown due to circulation and natural aging. The Philadelphia Mint produced a very large quantity of 1942 cents, with over 657 million coins struck, making it a common date in the series. Your coin is described as being in fine condition with some scratches, which indicates moderate circulation wear. In fine condition, Lincoln's portrait shows noticeable wear on the cheek, jaw, and hair, but all major details remain visible. The date and lettering are clear and readable, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are visible though worn, with much of the finer details smoothed away. The presence of scratches reduces the overall eye appeal and slightly lowers the market value, but the coin is still collectible as a wartime-era Lincoln cent. In today's market, a 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in fine condition generally has a value of approximately 15 to 30 cents USD.
Coins with better color and fewer surface marks may sell toward the higher end of this range, while examples with heavier scratches may sell closer to the lower end. Very fine condition coins can reach around 30 to 60 cents, and uncirculated examples may be worth several dollars. Because your coin has some scratches, its realistic market value would likely be around 15 to 25 cents. Although it is a common date, the 1942 wheat penny carries meaningful historical value. It circulated during the early years of America's involvement in World War II, when everyday items like coins were essential to daily life on the home front. Each coin from this period tells a small story of wartime America in the economy of the early 1940s. To preserve the coin's remaining value, cleaning or polishing is not recommended as it can damage the surface and reduce collector interest. The coin should be stored in a protective holder or coin flip, kept in a dry environment to prevent further wear or corrosion. Proper storage helps maintain both its condition and its historical character.
Next up, the 1918 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without mint mark. This coin was produced during a very important time in American history, near the end of World War I. By 1918, the Lincoln Wheat Penny had already been in circulation for nearly 10 years and was a familiar part of everyday life in the United States. Today, coins from this era attract collectors because of their age, history, and classic design. The 1918 wheat penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Philadelphia coins traditionally do not carry a mint mark, which is why there is no letter below the date. The coin is made of bronze and features Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, there are two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum at the top. In good condition, the coin shows clear signs of circulation. Lincoln's portrait is visible, but many fine details, such as hair strands and coat lines, are worn smooth. On the reverse, the wheat stalks can still be seen, but much of the fine detail is faded. Some scratches, nicks, and surface marks are common for a coin that has been in use for more than a century. These scratches reduce value slightly, but they are expected for a coin in good condition. When it comes to value, the 1918 wheat penny without a mint mark is considered a common date. In today's market, a coin in good condition with some scratches usually sells for around 30 to 70 cents. If the coin has heavier scratches, dark spots, or signs of cleaning, the value may be closer to the lower end of that range. Coins with natural color and even wear are more attractive to collectors. Condition is very important for wheat pennies. A 1918 penny in higher grades, such as very fine or extremely fine, can be worth more, but once noticeable wear and scratches are present, the value remains modest. Collectors often look for these coins to complete date sets rather than for investment purposes. It is important not to clean old pennies. Cleaning can damage the original surface and remove the natural patina that collectors value. Even though a cleaned coin may look shinier, it often sells for less than an untouched example. If you own a 1918 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, it is best to store it in a safe, dry place using a coin holder or envelope. While it may not be a high-value coin, it is still a meaningful piece of American history. Coins like this remind us of a time when the country was facing major challenges, and even small, everyday objects like pennies were part of that story.
The 1944 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a U.S. coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the absence of a mint mark below the date. It belongs to the famous Lincoln Wheat Penny series, designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and two wheat stalks on the reverse. The year 1944 is especially notable because it marked the return to a copper-based composition after the steel since of 1943, making 1944 pennies historically significant to collectors.
The 1944 Lincoln cent was minted using recycled copper from wartime materials such as shell casings, resulting in the standard bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. When newly issued, these coins had a bright red appearance, but most examples today show brown or dark brown toning due to heavy circulation and age. The Philadelphia Mint produced a very large number of these coins, with over 1 billion struck, making it a common date overall. However, condition remains the key factor in determining value. Your coin is described as being in damaged condition with some scratches. This suggests heavy wear, surface marks, possible dents, or other damage from long-term circulation or improper handling. In damaged condition, Lincoln's facial features are heavily worn and flattened, and the finer details of the hair and coat are mostly gone. The wheat stalks on the reverse are also worn smooth in many areas. Scratches and damage significantly reduce the coin's eye appeal and collector value, even though the date itself is common. In today's market, a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in damaged condition generally has a value of around 5 to 15 cents USD. Coins in better condition, such as fine or very fine, can be worth 20 to 75 cents, while uncirculated examples may sell for several dollars. Because your coin shows damage and surface scratches, your realistic value would likely be near the lower end of the range, around 5 to 10 cents. Despite its low monetary value, the 1944 wheat penny still holds historical significance. It circulated during the final years of World War II, a time when the United States was fully mobilized for war. These pennies were used daily by Americans at home, while the country focused on the war effort. Even heavily worn examples serve as reminders of this important period in history. To preserve what remains of the coin, cleaning or polishing is not recommended, as this can further damage the surface and reduce any remaining collector interest. The coin should be stored in a protective holder in a dry environment to prevent additional wear or corrosion. Even damaged coins benefit from proper storage, especially copper-based issues that are prone to environmental damage. Next up, now let's look at the 1925 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark. This coin comes from the mid-1920s, a period when the Lincoln Wheat Penny was already well established as the standard 1-cent coin in the United States. By 1925, these pennies were widely used in everyday transactions, and millions of them passed through the hands of Americans during that decade. Today, they are collected mainly for their age, design, and place in U.S. history. In very fine condition, the coin shows moderate wear from circulation, but still retains good detail. Lincoln's portrait is clear, with visible facial features and some remaining hair detail. The coat lines may be slightly worn, but they are still noticeable. On the reverse, the wheat stalks are well defined, though the finer lines are softened from use. Some scratches and small marks are common and expected for a coin that has been in circulation for many years. These scratches lower the value slightly, but do not make the coin undesirable. The value of a 1925 wheat penny without a mint mark in very fine condition is generally modest. In today's market, these coins usually sell for around 20 to 50 cents. If the scratches are light and the coin has an even, natural color, it may sell closer to the higher end of that range. Coins with heavier scratches, discoloration, or signs of cleaning tend to sell for less. Because the 1925 wheat penny had a high mintage, it is not considered rare. However, collectors still seek these coins to complete wheat penny date sets. Coins that show original surfaces and have not been cleaned are preferred by collectors. Cleaning a coin removes its natural patina and can significantly reduce its value. While there are rare errors and varieties for some wheat pennies, most 1925 pennies found today are standard issues. Unless a coin shows clear signs of a mint error, its value is based almost entirely on condition. Next up, the 1956 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without mint mark is a U.S. coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the absence of a mint mark below the date. It belongs to the final years of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, designed by Victor David Brenner, which featured Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two wheat ears on the reverse from 1909 to 1958. Coins from 1956 are especially interesting because they come just 2 years before the wheat design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse, marking the end of an important era in American coinage. The 1956 Lincoln cent was minted in the standard bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. When originally struck, the coin had a bright red copper color, but most examples today show red-brown or brown toning due to circulation and age. The Philadelphia Mint produced a very large number of 1956 cents, with over 420 million coins struck, making it a common date. However, condition still plays a key role in determining value, and higher-grade examples are preferred by collectors. Your coin is described as being in very fine condition with some scratches. In very fine condition, Lincoln's facial features, hair details, and coat lines remain clearly visible, with only light wear on the highest points, such as the cheek and jaw. The date and lettering are sharp and easy to read, and the wheat stalks on the reverse retain much of their original detail. The scratches slightly reduce the coin's eye appeal and collector value, but it remains a solid example of a late-date wheat penny. In today's market, a 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in very fine condition with some scratches generally has a value of approximately $15 to $30. Coins with better surfaces, stronger color, and fewer scratches may sell toward the higher end of this range, while examples with more noticeable scratches may fall closer to the lower end. Extra fine coins can sometimes reach 40 to 75 cents, and uncirculated red examples are worth several dollars. Because your coin has some scratches, its realistic market value would likely be around 15 to 25 cents. Although its monetary value is modest, the 1956 wheat penny holds historical importance. It circulated during the mid-1950s, a period of post-war prosperity and everyday economic activity in the United States. Pennies from this era were widely used in daily transactions, and each coin reflects the final chapter of the long-running wheat penny design. To preserve the remaining value, cleaning or polishing is not recommended, as it can damage the surface and reduce collector interest. The best way to protect it is to store it in a protective coin holder or flip in a dry environment to prevent further wear or corrosion. Proper storage helps maintain both its condition and historical character. In summary, your 1956 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in very fine condition with some scratches has a current market value of approximately $15 to $30, most likely around 15 to 25 cents. While it is not a high-value coin, it remains a meaningful collectible and a genuine piece of American coinage history from the final years of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series.